Hi there, we're just going to give it another minute just to see if anybody else joins. Thank you for joining our webinar today. Over the next 40 minutes, we're going to explore and discuss ideas on how we can empower multilingual learners through technology. We'd love to hear your questions, so please make use of the Q&A function at the top of the screen. We'll definitely have time at the end to answer as many as we can, but don't worry, we will answer you directly if we run out of time. So to introduce ourselves first, I'm Jenny and I head up education here at FlashAcademy.
Hello everyone, I'm Lily, Head of English as an Additional Language at GEMS FirstPoint in Dubai, and it's an absolute pleasure to be sharing with you some initiatives around supporting our multilingual students.
So let's begin. So Lily, why is it so important to recognise a student's first language as an asset, and what impact can that have on the student?
That's a great question, Jenny, and it's one that really gets to the heart of how we approach language learning. And recognizing a student's first language as an asset is crucial, not just for their language development, but also for their overall academic success. So let's think about this through a scenario. Imagine you're 10 years old, you speak English fluently, solve problems in English, love your science lessons, share experiences with friends, and then suddenly your family decides to move to a new country and you're expected to speak, read, write fluently in a completely different language. So that experience can be nerve-wracking, and it's something that many multilingual students face. And when we talk about multilingualism and adopting an asset-based approach, we build on students' first language knowledge understanding and their background knowledge. So this concept has three key components. The first one is pedagogical. By supporting existing knowledge, students retain information longer, and they may already understand specific concept in science, for example. They just need the tools and they just need the right vocabulary to access that subject. The second key concept is translanguaging, which is using multiple languages fluidly. And research has shown that languages are not stored separately in multilingual brains. We then, so when we leave those artificial boundaries like English-only policies or, challenging monolingual policies, we create environments for our students where they can transfer skills across languages, improving their overall learning. And the third concept, which is probably crucial, understanding the cognitive aspects of it. Yeah. So when neuroscience shows that multilingual brains develop stronger neural connections, improving cognitive flexibility and problem-solving abilities, brains can also work better and they can do more things and do them more effectively when they can build meaningful connections. And first language is the most powerful tool to build those connections because all that background knowledge comes from understanding our first languages. And this is all supported by the brain's ability to adapt and strengthen through neuroplasticity.
That makes loads of sense, actually. So what ways have you achieved this at GEMS FirstPoint?
So we've tried to come up with some practical solutions to apply these theoretical concepts into practice, as it's not always easy to talk about theory in practice. And there's one key thing that I hope most of our international colleagues will agree with. So it's a whole school strategy. The foundation of our approach is a shared belief that every teacher is a language teacher. And this is something that we value and share with FlashAcademy. So we ensure that all staff, not just subject teachers, are involved in supporting language acquisition. From the moment our students enter the school, everyone from admin staff to teachers contributes to helping them overcome language barriers. And when we talk about those barriers, it could be, simple interactions in the morning. And they're so powerful when we talk about those everyday practices. The second step is our admissions process. So we start by gathering detailed information about our students during admissions, including their first language proficiency. So this allows us to identify their strengths and also set meaningful language-focused targets for each student right from the start. So this process is supported by an assessment tool that FlashAcademy offers. This is a great tool that suggests an overview of strengths and things that our students can work further to improve their language proficiency. Based on that knowledge, we then create personalized language passports for each English language learner. And this asset-based document contains lots of details. First of all, strategies. And these strategies are quite specific, but it's a very small number, 5 to 7 strategies. But what's really powerful about them is sharing those strategies consistently. So, for example, for students like Lily, I will experience consistent support in maths, science, and beyond when my teachers adapt those lessons and provide those scaffolds for me. The next thing that we consider is careful groupings. So we spend time thoughtfully grouping new students, often considering their first language. And we also understand that it's not a limiting factor because we know that all those meaningful learning happens through interactions, and it doesn't have to be in their first language only. So this is a really powerful part. And I think as that meaningful tool, we utilize welcome packs. And these resources offered by FlashAcademy help students develop not only their vocabulary, but also their transferable skills. So for example, these packs help students navigate through the curriculum, understand the systems. Again, imagine this is a new school, new systems, new expectations, new rules. So all that information is really helpful when we talk about transition. And they also support developing writing schema, which is, again, an essential component of first language understanding. And then students can confidently use their first language to build up on their additional languages. And lastly, but again, not least, celebrating diversity through various whole school events. So we celebrate International Mother Tongue Day, International Day. Recently, we've introduced a new initiative called Language of the Week. So yeah, that's lots of fun.
Could you talk us through that actually? And has FlashAcademy helped with it?
Oh, absolutely. It began in April during Multilingual Language Learner Advocacy Month so we had that simple idea of recognizing the diversity of languages spoken at GEMS FirstPoint, and each class would choose a language, either the most widely spoken or a language spoken by a new student, and then selected students or a group of students would then teach a few greetings in that language. So these greetings are then used every morning to greet everyone in that class. So what started as a way to boost well-being has evolved into a much, larger thing. It was almost an awareness campaign, and it's been incredible to walk through the primary corridors and hear students confidently exchanging greetings in different languages, and also seeing that pride and how they, students love taking on those leadership roles. So it was amazing. And by the way, let me share an example. Let me share the story of Zicheng, one of our students who joined us last year. And when he first arrived, he was quite timid, nervous about making friends, and he was quite unsure about the new experiences ahead. And it was clear for us that he needed support to feel comfortable in this new environment. We were able to start his journey with a proficiency assessment that gave us an overview of his strengths, and equally suggested, next steps, how we can support Zicheng in improving his vocabulary, grammar, and all the areas of that language support. So Zicheng started using FlashAcademy along with the targeted strategies for his teachers and, intervention classes to practice vocabulary, to practice grammar. And over time, we saw his confidence grow. So I think he became more comfortable engaging with his classmates. He started forming friendships, which had a positive impact, not only his language learning, but also on his overall well-being and social skills. So please meet Zicheng.
Oh, that's wonderful, Lily. I love that. That's wonderful to see. Why is it so important then to incorporate technology, and what role does it play in supporting multilingual learners?
We believe incorporating technology into education, especially when we talk about supporting multilingual learners, is real important for breaking down those barriers. And we have so many unnecessary boundaries at time. So this provides access, so they can easily access all these learning opportunities around them. So first of all, we can share immediate feedback and have those assessment tools. So technology definitely helps us assess students' language proficiency quickly and effectively. For example, tools like an assessment tool on FlashAcademy provides a great overview of students' language level. So it includes their reading, listening, speaking and writing comprehension report that then turns into that, turns into that immediate support and timely interventions, ensuring that students receive the help they need right from the start. So teachers can then tailor instructions based on real-time data, making their support more targeted and effective. And another great side that we really like about these assessments is the AI-supported marking. So it really helps teachers to review those assessments in the most efficient way. The second part of it is probably personalized learning pathways. When we talk about technology, we can definitely say that it allows to create individualized learning experiences, and each student can work at their own pace using resources tailored to their needs. And we know that for multilingual students, this is so important. So time plays a crucial role in this. And developing these skills in their first language, or building on their first language while developing their skills in an additional language, helps to personalize and fosters engagement and helps students feel more supported in their learning journey, which definitely helps our students build vocabulary quicker. And once they build the vocabulary they need, they become more confident, they start interacting with their friends, their speaking confidence definitely improves, and they feel more included, which is amazing.
So how can technology can support traditional teaching methods then?
Technology can complement and enhance traditional teaching methods in several impactful ways. And I think it's also important to know that, while in-person teaching remains foundational, integrating technology into the classroom can offer engaging and interactive ways to reinforce and expand on what's being taught. So, for example, we can talk about engaging and improving interactive opportunities. Technology definitely transforms traditional learning by making it more interactive. For example, gamified vocabulary practice through flashcards, incorporating different multimedia activities, offering students a chance to interact with language through different formats. They experience, that they listen to an audio, they then see a visual, and then read the text. So using all these skills, again, building those links is essential. And this integrated skills approach reinforces their understanding in a way that traditional methods may not always achieve at that specific time in a very, short period. So for multilingual learners, this variety of tools can be definitely beneficial, helping them engage with content. We also love a tool that FlashAcademy offers. It's called Object Translator. So it's a really unique tool that supports this integration. This feature allows students to take photos of everyday objects and instantly learn the vocabulary around them. So for example, they take a picture of a table and there's some objects, and you get an immediate translation. And it's a fun and visual way of making meaning and making language learning more practical, and making meanings of everything surrounding us. And I think the next part is promoting independent learning, because yes, we know that there are some things that we need to improve in English as students, but then how do I improve them? And what are the next steps I need to take? So thinking metacognitively, thinking about our learning, traditional classroom teaching often focuses on guided learning, but technology opens the door for independent exploration. So all the topics that students link and all those cross-curricular opportunities on FlashAcademy are really powerful, because students know that they can pre-learn some words before their lesson, prior to the lesson, or they can review a set of keywords following that lesson, whether it's math, science, and also for EAL intervention specialists, it's quite tricky to teach that vocabulary. But when we have all those available resources, it just makes learning so much more interactive and engaging. And another point is about supporting families. Technology can also breach that gap between school and home. And at GEMS FirstPoint, we believe communication is key. And, the more we interact with families, the more we learn about our students and better we can support them. So, for example, and this is going to be probably something interesting for our international colleagues, we have rain days in Dubai. Schools are advised to close for obviously safety reasons, and this can interrupt learning, unfortunately. But for example, last year, having FlashAcademy, students were able to continue learning from home, practicing vocabulary, preparing for upcoming lessons. And we're talking about blended learning. So they still had a chance to meet their teachers online, to talk about those topics, to ask these questions. But then when it comes to that personalized approach, one-to-one work, and working on those specific language targets, FlashAcademy lessons were incredible, and parents were really happy to have that support. So we've also incorporated different technology-driven strategies to support our students. So one of them is pre-teaching with technology, and this is something that we work on with our class teaching assistants. Again, a really powerful tool. And all these resources are ready for you to support, and utilizing those flashcards and key concepts before students enter a lesson. It's a great way. Students come to class prepared, which again increases their confidence and participation. So by combining technology with the hands-off support of teaching assistants, for example, we've created a more dynamic learning environment, and this approach definitely allowed us to, tailor our instruction and adapt it to the needs of our multilingual students. And I'd like to share another example. So please meet Ivan. Ivan joined us last year, and at first he was quite nervous about meeting other students. He tended to play on his own, often with dinosaurs or dragons, and was hesitant to speak to his peers. However, once he began using FlashAcademy and specifically the speech tool, we noticed a remarkable change. So it was a very safe and comfortable environment for him, where he could practice some words and get that immediate feedback. And we've seen how this kind of practice supported him in, we've seen his confidence grow. We've seen those initial barriers being removed. Effective filters were, they started just, fading away. So, and as he realized how quickly he was learning English, he became more engaged in class, and now he's one of the supporters, our buddies to introduce new students to FPS. So please meet Ivan.
Oh, that's so lovely. He certainly doesn't seem quiet anymore, Lily.
You work really hard to practice his pronunciation, and again, like having friends is probably the most powerful
Yeah,
thing to
it
see.
is, absolutely. So let's move on to promoting inclusion then. Could you talk a little bit more of the importance of inclusion in a language learning environment?
Absolutely. Inclusion in language learning environments is absolutely crucial because we know that's our identity. That's the way we represent ourselves. It's our voice, right? Especially when our ultimate goal is to create classrooms where every student, regardless of their language background, feels supported and empowered. To achieve this, it was important to view again, coming back to every teacher is a language teacher
Mm,
concept. So it was really important for us to have that shared understanding. And we also believe that inclusion doesn't just happen in English or, EAL lessons. It needs to be embedded across all subjects. And when we talk about, key leadership teams, we talk about strategically ensuring that these policies are implemented across the school. So to foster inclusion, we identified each student's next steps in their language learning. And so this means that we share that understanding where they are and what they need to do to stretch towards their next goals. And I think the most important tool was not really a tool, probably a framework that we refer to is the zone of proximal development. So by understanding each student's ZPD, we can then tailor our
mm,
teaching to ensure that the work is challenging, but at the same time achievable, helping them progress step by step. Because a lot of times students will be asking, why am I working on a different worksheet? Was there a different
yeah.
work set for me?
Mm,
But it's crucial for us that we adapt strategies and we adapt learning for them. It's not working on a different task. It's about how do I build up to achieve the most challenging work I can do and helping them progress again step by step. This definitely helps create a consistent supportive learning environment where they can see their progress and at the same time feel motivated to keep moving.
that sounds excellent, actually. What strategies do you use to promote inclusion then?
So I think we started with something probably very obvious, celebrating achievements, and it's really important for us because all achievements are big,
Yeah.
and celebrating the linguistic and academic achievements of our students is key. And we don't limit these achievements to EAL classes only. So we're trying to celebrate these achievements, in every aspect of their school life. We acknowledge their journey. We acknowledge their academic journey, talking about successes, the
Mm,
things like building confidence and a sense of accomplishment. And students could be, this could be done through certificates, praise in class, an achievement system, whole school achievement system, but sharing these success stories both with parents and the leadership team was one of the most powerful things because a lot of time, I think these days we talk about data, numbers,
mm,
but it's really important to remember those individual success
yeah.
stories and that soft data we can share, especially being advocates for our multilingual students. And also, we can probably mention learning environments. We focus on building a welcoming and culturally responsive classroom. For example, we have about 96 nationalities represented at FPS,
Wow.
and culturally relevant materials
Mm,
and classroom discussions are really important to embrace students' diverse backgrounds and again to help them feel valued, to help them achieve the best they can. So we encourage students to research through their first language if it's needed. When students see their language and cultures reflected in the classroom, it's a really powerful tool. So there is something that FlashAcademy definitely supported us with is first language profiles is a really powerful document where it outlines specifics of a particular language, things that teachers need to look out for when we talk
mm,
about, transferable skills or mistakes that students potentially can make. So knowing that information definitely then supports the class teacher to adapt their resources better. But those documents were really helpful for everyone, honestly. So including our students, then they researched, did their research about different languages, then they shared that information. So it was a really nice thing. Also, I think inclusion comes to parental engagement. So inclusion extends beyond the classroom. And we definitely actively engage with our parents, with the community by providing and sharing resources in multiple languages. And again, FlashAcademy shared lots of letters translated to the different home languages, and parents really appreciate that support, even setting up devices or the app or going through the topics in a language that family feels confident with, so they can then support their children at home. And involving families only strengthens that homeschool I'd say connection and support students' academic and social development. So it's really important to consider both sides. And I think when we talk about school, it's also important to mention different, CPD opportunities. So collaborative planning is key for us because we are supporting students holistically. I encourage you to definitely, engage with your CPD leaders. They're happy to give you more time for, PD sessions if you request for more dedicated time for collaboration and language and literacy integration. So, and that not only then supports students' academic achievement, but also understanding multilingual students better, so which then links to our celebrating achievement parts, because everybody in school, teachers, teaching assistant, admin, the leadership team will be talking about that assets-based approach. This just takes us back to the whole school strategy, which is vital, and it definitely includes students, parents, all teachers, and definitely the wider administration. And I think sometimes we need to ask those important questions. Are your leadership teams aware of those specific needs in multilingual learners? Are parents actively involved in tracking their child's progress? And engaging all key stakeholders definitely supports our students. And it's to support their learning, it's to feel them included, to feel them valued. And by combining these strategies, creating welcoming environments, using technology to scaffold through ZPD, provide that challenge, we definitely remove those barriers and support all students regardless of their language background. And I'll share another example, and that's our recent star, Floor. She has recently moved to stage C, and it was a really proud moment for her. So she was there, on stage with her friends, and she felt the joy of her achievement, not only because she had learned to speak a new language, but also because she had formed new friendships. Having that opportunity to talk about things you like, to talk about the depth of knowledge you bring from your, from your experience, is an amazing way of celebrating those things. So yes, what's even more remarkable is the progress she's made. So in just 6 months, her reading age advanced by an impressive 16 months. So this was an amazing achievement that we'd like to share with you. Floor is our FlashAcademy ambassador, and she helps students like Lev, for example, in year 2. So she's there to support everyone. Such a lovely girl, honestly. Yes, and that completes our webinar. We hope you found it really useful. Thank you all for joining us. And Jenny, do we have any questions?
Let's have a look. It's highlighted, so there might be some in there. Okay. Well, this is a big question. Oh, right. We have over 40 languages in our school. To represent all of them in one academic year, we have languages at our school and introduce them by continents every other term. At the moment, it's Africa. That's quite a nice idea. Yeah. But it would take us years to represent everyone, and it ties the languages to geography and awareness of how far some of us come. Do you think it's a good approach? So did you get that question?
Yeah, I think, yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
So it's a
Yeah, I
really
like that.
nice,
Yeah.
100%. And I think what we could also think about is potentially building those connections across year groups. So again, students love taking those, leadership opportunities. And if we have a lot of languages that we need to talk about, is again, sharing that experience and expertise across. So maybe there's a language that is really popular in a particular year group, and then some are not represented. So if we look at those dynamics and then we compare those languages across different years, and build those support strategies and buddy systems linked to those languages, could be another kind of way to support students and celebrate that diversity.
Yeah, I love that. That's a good idea. Another question from Mercer is, what assessment do you use for existing students from EAL? Yeah, that's for you, really, Lily.
Yes, we use FlashAcademy. So we have our assessment tool, which is probably the most powerful tool for us. It's again gauges students' language proficiency across listening, speaking, reading, and writing. And these assessments provide immediate feedback, allowing us teachers to then tailor instructions to each student's needs. And we use this tool, for proficiency, entry assessments, and we then also follow up and use it as a, summative tool. We then can track their progress and share that information with parents. And parents find it incredibly useful when they know, what those starting points were, what the targets are to work towards,
Yeah.
And comparing those numbers again.
And
quite
also, just to add a little bit to that, we've added a lot of features and updates to our assessment tool. You can actually assess 1, 2, 3, or 4 of the skills. It's your choice, and you can add your own grades in if you prefer. And we'll be launching AI assessment in January at the latest. It may be a bit earlier, and AI will bring a load more insights. It will mark everything, but it still gives the teacher full control to override, and it will make the process really streamline it and make it really effective and time-saving. So watch this space. New features are coming. This is definitely a question for you, Lily. Aldo has asked, what strategies can I specifically take to get them involved into a literacy piece and enable them to apply the PEE strategies effectively?
Oh, I think it's a great question, because when we talk about moving students from basic interpersonal communication skills to more advanced cognitive academic language proficiency, I think that's the first thing we ask ourselves as practitioners. I would say start by breaking down the text into, manageable sections and using visuals to support understanding. It definitely depends on a level and depends on a year group, but pre-teaching key vocabulary before reading the text, using flashcards on FlashAcademy or completing English language lessons on FlashAcademy, definitely ensures students are familiar with the terms they will encounter. And I think another powerful thing we found this year is exposing students to as many, good models or model examples with simple, clear sentence structure, and using this sentence starters to help them scaffold their response. So the more they're exposed to those, what a good one looks like examples, the better they are at writing those examples, because again, we need lots of input, lots of meaningful interactions with that input. So it's not just reading that, maybe answering comprehension questions, deconstructing text, and then creating my own example. So definitely, annotating this text to highlight where they should make their point, find the evidence, explain and helping them visualize the structure, and then building up their own responses with an appropriate scaffold. That is something that we've noticed helped our students develop their writing. And I'll probably add something to that. There's a lot of work around metacognitive talk. So when we analyze our own writing and when we know how we can then further improve, like even giving examples of teacher thinking, because we often share those examples, but then as students, we're not sure how to proceed to the next step. So the metacognitive strategies are really important in writing as well.
Okay, great question, great answer. Anna has also asked, what are the best ways to support children and families that don't see the importance of education? That's a really tricky question, Lily, I can imagine. Do you ever come across that?
It is a tricky question. I would say we're very lucky to have a really engaged families and the whole community. But I would say there might be, but then it's about that power of communication, right? Maybe there is something that you can add, but yes, definitely that power of communication, sharing all these resources. It's not an easy win. Progress reports, celebrating success stories, sharing those examples, how it should be and what we should work towards could be a powerful way.
I think language must be a big part of it, I imagine, that communication part. So whatever you can do to make them feel involved and showing those achievements, I think you're spot on there. Juliet has also asked, I think we've kind of asked this, but just to make it clear, it says, what do you use for your beginning of the year assessment? Because with FlashAcademy, you can do it as a baseline and throughout. Do you use the same process, Lily?
Yeah, we do quite a universal. Yes, we follow that universal process. We start with proficiency assessments early in the academic year, both for new joiners or those who continue with us, and then using the assessment tool to make sure that, it's used for summative assessment, for progress checks. Again, which is quite powerful to set clear and achievable targets.
I think that's answered Alexandra's question as well about assessment. Anna's also asked, how do you overcome cultural differences and help others to accept them? Again, interesting. Do you come across that, cultural differences with all these languages? Do you ever get that?
I think we do, and it's probably a natural process of understanding each other better. And it's all about communication. It's about explaining, and it's about sharing different practices around the school. And I think it's a beautiful context that we have here in Dubai with, lots of different nationalities and cultures that are respected, with the whole concept of tolerance. And it's really beautiful to see that in practice. But when it comes to education, we're always there to support that learning. So it's a lot of people say it's a natural process, but I would probably argue with that. We need to explicitly teach and share good practice. And again, probably the best way to do is something informally, assemblies, the buddy system, celebrations like International Day or Language of the Week initiatives. Those things definitely help students break those barriers.
The whole school approach 100%. Sort of tackles that, I would imagine, and the learner profiles, celebrating them maybe on the wall, I imagine, sort of breaks down as cultural barriers a little bit.
Because it's both, right? It's not just something implicitly, something implied, but it's also explicitly taught. And I think as adults, we always start from ourselves, and sharing that within a community and sharing that understanding with parents is really important, because everything starts in our families.
I imagine it's not a quick process, but if you start building this, it becomes second nature. Lewis has asked, how do you improve staff buy-in? Which I think is a good question, because I imagine there's loads of resources and ways of working out there. So, and teachers probably do feel a bit overwhelmed sometimes. So how do you support that and get their buy-in?
sometimes I hate saying every teacher is a language teacher because it's absolutely easy to say, but then what happens in practice, right? Because there's so many expectations and we have different groups of students. It's not only multilingual students. But I think understanding the needs is essential. So, for example, as an EAL lead or as a CPD lead, we first need to conduct those initial learning walks and see what are the needs and what good practice is happening around the school, because there's so many great activities, so many great adaptations that students have on their daily menu. And then providing targeted CPD sessions for those who need, and maybe even suggesting options. For example, next half term, we'll be talking about menu style PD. Again, those who need a particular focus will be joining those sessions. And again, when we choose these sessions and we want to go, I think that that buy-in comes somehow naturally. Again, it's my voice. It's something that I want to do.
Yeah.
And again, just probably I'm repeating myself again, but showcasing success stories both of students and teachers who have seen improvements with EAL strategies, because it's easy to say, okay, we need to build vocabulary, we need to create flashcards, we need to pre-teach some words, we need to use sentence starters, but how does it happen? So maybe showing those great examples, recording those videos, and showing that work in books is probably the most powerful thing. When teachers see progress, they want to see that progress in their lessons as well.
I think, and if something's working, don't keep trying to change it, and then teachers will feel confident in what you've actually instructed is working. So hopefully they will buy in after time, like the whole school approach. It's not going to happen overnight, is it? But
absolutely.
I think, you'll see that progress and they'll have buy-in. So another question, Rohina has asked, how could you engage young children during a teaching input when they don't understand the language? Most EAL children engage, but I have the odd one that is totally disengaged.
Brilliant question. And
Pushing
again,
you today, Lily.
Yeah, I think there's definitely some challenges that come with age, and it's not just about EAL students, it's not just about multilingual students, it's about, attention span, retention rate. So it's all that research that comes together. But I think when we talk about our young multilingual students, using visual aids and linking to their background understanding as much as possible to support comprehension, because when we incorporate real life objects and something, or pictures, videos that they can relate and they find some, similarities, it's such a powerful thing. And, repetition, modeling are key. Yes, it's that, the teacher part, but then when they start engaging, is really nice to see. I think there is a really good example that we have at GEMS FirstPoint. So we have languages wall, right? And we haven't changed it probably for 2 years now. And we have different languages, different flags. And every time our FS2 and year 1 children, pass by, they still, this day, even if they've been with us for a few years now, they still stop there. They talk about their languages because it's something that they can relate to, and they share. It's about myself. It's about my identity. It's something that I bring to this community. So yes, when they find these links, I think it gets a bit easier, but it's probably understanding what they like, and it's understanding who they are.
Yeah, because each child's so different, and I suppose they bring other challenges too, not just EAL, SEN as well, I imagine. But if you can, I think, get to the basics, like what do they like, what do they love, they will start opening up, and obviously again, language, potentially using stuff interactively, like you said. That's a really good question. Beatrice has asked, how can I work with students who can't write or read in their own mother tongue and have little to no English language knowledge? Tricky.
Very tricky, and with the global dynamics, we see that more often now. Students move, we have a lot of displaced students, unfortunately, and they have those interrupted learning experiences. So what we usually offer is focusing on one language first, just to start, because it will then just like reading skills, they have to be explicitly taught. So we need to start with phonics. We need to start at a word level, CVC words, practicing all those phonic sounds properly before we move on to bigger writing. But at the same time, if we talk about, let's say, secondary students, do we have enough time to provide additional interventions? Because it might be quite, a daunting experience to sit there in class with other year 7 students and work on phonics. So maybe first oracy-based support in class, because we know speech comes first. And if there's any, if there's additional time, we could work with those students, one-to-one or in small groups to improve their phonetic awareness, phonemic awareness. But if we talk about younger students, we first give some time to introduce English if there's no literacy skills in home language, but then we also ask our parents for some support, because we know that learning first language and supporting literacy in first language is just so crucial. And building those connections, we know that students thrive academically when they have those two languages side by side supporting them. So yes, different situations when we don't have anything, any literacy skills, let's say, we start first with English, but then if there is something already, we try to build up those languages simultaneously.
So you would work with just English in that example where they had very little in their own language. It would make more sense just go with English.
For the start,
Yeah,
but then
yeah.
I would definitely ask to introduce their home language.
As they move on, yeah. So Kertha has asked, how are you handling the influx in EAL students and adapting lessons to better support those with no English proficiency?
Great question. And I think, again, it's one of these challenges that I think, face regularly with admissions and the dynamics in Dubai. So I think I'll probably go back to our whole school strategy. It's important that we all work towards that shared understanding, admissions, when we meet the students early on, so they are prepared to start their school with the support that they need. And also our leadership team and parents are aware of those needs. And then when we have a few students in class, let's say a group of students, we then look at scaffolding work. Again, not providing additional worksheets to work on a completely different topic. How do we help these students with, again, help of technology, everything that we have at hand, to help them achieve their, the fullest potential. So we don't want to demotivate them or introduce completely different topics that are irrelevant to their curriculum, but it's about working with them together, again, possibly pre-teaching vocabulary, reviewing those words, additional reading groups. But then if we can use their oracy skills in class and utilize their first language, because there's a lot of things they can share from their previous learning. So again, translate tools, vocabulary maths are really helpful.
I think that's where technology sort of comes into its own a little bit, because they can use, say, FlashAcademy in class from their home language, and they can also work on their geography words, history words while they're in that lesson, so they feel more included as well. So I think there's loads of ideas there, isn't there, you can use. And there is actually one question from Kate here. How are interventions run using FlashAcademy? That's really for you still, I'm afraid, at your school.
That's a great question, because I think because we have different models, it might be a bit different from the context that you have. So FlashAcademy, so our students are expected to complete some FlashAcademy lessons daily at home, but they also work on FlashAcademy twice a week in school with a TA support. In EAL interventions that we have in class are fully supported by a teacher, but then we add, I think, 10-15 minutes to that time to work on phonics and literacy skills through FlashAcademy. So if we talk about that, wraparound approach, we have class teaching assistants supporting our students, then we have EAL specialists supporting our students and also using Flash, and also we have that, that family support, which is probably essential, because all these meaningful conversations, one-to-one conversations that really matter, happen at home. And it's really nice when parents come to those, the parent evenings, and they share things that they've noticed. And even they say, I'm practicing my phonics, I'm practicing
Yeah.
my reading and my, you know, science vocabulary with my child. So which is amazing.
Yeah, that's really good. Aldo has asked, how easy is it to include these methods into, let's say, our Cambridge curriculum? Is this done as zero lessons or incorporated into normal classes? Now, from a Flash Academy perspective, because I know this is a broader question than just Flash Academy, from a Flash Academy perspective, we work with lots of different curriculums because it's a vocab development tool, and it can absolutely be used in lessons and also at home and intervention groups to help with the vocab development. But go over to you, Lily, on what other methods you mentioned there as well.
Yeah, I absolutely agree, because it's again, it's a topics based, you know, CLIL, content and language integrated learning. So which is, again, in essence, is about learning words linked to the vocabulary. So when we talk about Cambridge curriculum, I would probably say it's, again, linked to topics and specific skills that students need to achieve. And for example, Flash Academy has a wonderful search box, and you type in the topic, and then it gives sorts those topics out by the difficulty level, and it's quite easy to assign specific tasks for students, personalize the learning journey by, again, looking at the words they need for that specific topic. You can also create your own lessons, which is amazing, and our teachers love it. So if there is something, you know, you want to create something more specific to you for your context, again, that the lesson, what is it called? I'm trying to remember. Create your lesson.
Custom lessons.
Yeah, custom lessons. Yes, thank you. So yeah, custom lessons are also amazing. Again, you've got flashcards, then you can practice that in reading, writing. Absolutely amazing.
Sabina's asked, just wanted to know whether you used other software to support language learning before you started Flash Academy. We currently use Lexia, but we feel this is not the best for supporting EAL students, but it's not because it's not specifically geared for EAL. Just from my point, that's absolutely correct. There are a lot of good software products, and Lexia is good for literacy, but students with no English will struggle to access certain products like that. Did you use anything else before us then, Lily?
We used Lexia, and it's a wonderful tool to support literacy. But with Flash, we found you know, those speaking tools, translate tools, flashcards tools more interactive and engaging, and also building curricular links, which was really important for us. Let's say a student joins in year 7, and then we need to catch up on that vocabulary. So Flash Academy offered those specific links that are appropriate for us and really helpful for our context. So yes, like you mentioned, I definitely agree. There's lots of tools, and each tool definitely offers something suitable for you know, different contexts.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. Can we organise completions between my school and yours for completing the highest number of lessons of FA for a certain time, or maybe any other kinds of competitions? That's from E. Wilkinson. Now, we've had another similar question like this, haven't we? I think this is really exciting. What do you think, Lily?
Yeah, such an exciting opportunity. Unfortunately, it gets students love competitions, right? And sometimes it gets a bit, I wouldn't say boring, but it slows down the process when we compete within our school. But then seeing other results and seeing other schools would be just amazing.
I think it's links as well overseas, isn't it? And I think, you know, school in Far East or in England is doing this and we're doing this. I think it's nice. I love that idea. So we're actually going to take that away. The wonderful marketing team are going to take that away and give that some thought and work out a way to make that quite a nice little activity. So great question. Sabina has asked, also wanted to ask, do homeroom teachers get access to Flash Academy progress, or is it just by the EAL teacher? So I'll take that question. So with Flash Academy, we offer unlimited teacher dashboard logins. Now, the reason we do that is to support the whole school approach, because we also believe that it's every teacher's responsibility to support EAL students. So that means everyone can access the Flash Academy dashboard, and they'll be able to see the progress the students are making with the students are making in Flash Academy. And this is where you can also use that custom lesson feature that Lily was referring to actually design your own lessons. Maybe it's geography words, science words. So absolutely anybody can see the progress. We haven't got much longer, so I'm just going to move on to Monica's question. We have over 40 languages in our school to represent all of them in one academic year. We have oh no, I've read that one. This is where Rosie should be stopping me. We have another question though. One's just come in by Mirza. Is it compulsory for students to finish their FlashAcademy work at home, or depends on their free time? No, again, it depends how you work. I know Lily incorporates both home and at school, but it's you can set tasks and deadlines in the dashboard if you want to, and you can make that deadline a couple of weeks or a few days. It's up to you, but they can access it anywhere. It's an app that you can access on a tablet or a phone, or you can use the web app via Chrome on a laptop. So it's really accessible as well.
And just to add to that, you can even set the quality of your, your expectations. If you want your students to complete that lesson to, 90%, then they will need to work hard and repeat a lesson to achieve those expectations, which is again a tool that we found useful at FBS.
Brilliant. I really do hope you've enjoyed our webinar. We've thoroughly enjoyed practicing it and presenting it. So we hope you've got a lot from it. As Rosie mentioned at the start, we will be issuing certificates of attendance. So you can use this for your CPD numbers. Thank you for that. But yeah, and obviously get in touch if you have any more questions at all. I'm Jenny at FlashAcademy.com. I offer free demos and free trials if you are interested in Flash Academy, and also Lily's always available and super helpful. So thank you again for your time. Much appreciated.
Thank you.